Hello everyone, welcome to Rainbow Infinity. Today I'll be reading Graymane Shadows, Rainbow Invincible. If you like the reading, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please enjoy. Professionally awesome. A loud thunk sound rang out at the same time the Golden Oaks library shook to its roots, several books falling flat on their shelves. Though she should have been accustomed to such occurrences by now, Twilight Sparkle still jumped to her hooves and rushed outside, wrenching open the door with her magic just in time to see Rainbow Dash sitting up on her haunches, shaking her head to make her eyes stop spinning in circles. "Rainbow Dash, are you all right?" she asked, skidding to a stop next to her friend. "Yep, all good." Rainbow Dash brushed back her mane to its usual place. "Sorry, Twi. Was just trying to see if I could set a new speed dive record." Twilight looked back at the treehouse, seeing a faint Rainbow Dash-shaped impression in the wood next to the door. "By flying at my house?" she asked skeptically. Now Dash was on her hooves, stretching out her wings experimentally, checking that everything still worked. "Well, no, I wasn't flying at your house. Kinda. Like, yeah, I was flying at it, but I meant to pull up before I hit it. Obviously." Obviously. Twilight's tone was flat from annoyance, but she knew Dash well enough to know she wasn't going to get much more out of her. "Try not to get distracted next time, okay? I don't want to lose a friend because she flew through a wall." Twilight trotted back into the treehouse, irritation evident, pulling the door closed behind her with a soft slam. "Don't worry," Rainbow Dash muttered. "You won't. I'm invincible." If that had been the only risky action Dash had taken, Twilight might have let it slide without a second thought. However, over the next few weeks, she kept running into Rainbow Dash either while she was in the middle of doing something supremely dangerous, or in the immediate aftermath of such. There was the swan dive with bound wings off the top of the dam, which Twilight only saw because Pinkie Pie had promised her that they could catch real fish with gummy worms, and that the reservoir below the dam was the best place to do so. "You could have broken your neck!" Twilight was yelling, holding a dripping and grinning Rainbow Dash by the scruff of her neck in a magic grip, while Pinkie undid the rope pinning her wings to her sides. "Why would you do something so stupid?" "You gotta relax, Twilight," she said, breaking free from Twilight's grip and flopping a distance away. "I'm invincible. Nothing's going to happen to me." Before Twilight could comment on that ridiculous statement, Rainbow Dash soared away, leaving her trademark rainbow trail behind her. The primary thing that kept Twilight's scream of frustration from reaching Canterlot had been Pinkie's very firm insistence that Twilight was going to scare off all the fish. Stuffing one hoof in Twilight's mouth to block said scream may also have helped. The fish she caught shortly after, gummy worm clasped firmly in its lips, also went a long way toward diffusing Twilight's frustration at Rainbow, changing it into babbling about another case of Pinkie seeming to break all laws of nature. Then there was the Timberwolf incident, where Rainbow Dash single-hoofedly disassembled the beast when it had threatened their weekly friendship picnic. Even Applejack had been slightly nonplussed at Dash's seeming recklessness, though she too had encouraged Twilight to just let it go, muttering something about not worth the meltdown. The last straw for Twilight had been when Rainbow Dash had determined that she was going to prove to Applejack that the moon was in fact made of cheese, by traveling there and bringing back a large piece. It had only been chance that Thunderlane had spotted her when she'd come tumbling back to the ground after passing out in the outer atmosphere during her initial attempt at spaceflight. "What were you thinking?" Twilight yelled at Rainbow, who was reclining in her hospital bed with a self-assured smirk on her face. "You can't fly to the moon! That's literally impossible!" "Maybe if you're an ordinary pony, it's impossible, sure," Dash replied, scoffing. "If you're blessed like I am, flying to the moon is called Tuesday." Pinkie Pie let herself into the hospital room as quietly as she could, which wasn't too hard given that Twilight's voice was spiking to volumes that could be heard from Sweet Apple Acres. Taking in the sights and sounds before her, she sighed, pulling a large rubber toy hammer from her mane. Blessed? Touched is more like it, Twilight yelled. You realize you could have just asked Princess Luna if the moon is made of cheese or not? You don't have to go there yourself. Rainbow Dash laughed. Oh, Twilight, you're so naive. Of course I have to go there myself. I can't ask Luna. The princesses are in on the cover-up. Honestly, do you ever listen to me? Twilight was now on the verge of hyperventilating. What cover-up? She demanded. Haven't you ever heard of government cheese? They have to store that somewhere, you know. Why not the moon? Rainbow Dash, have you been listening to that radio station again? The one I expressly commanded you not to listen to? Behind them, Pinkie was adjusting several knobs on the hammer, turning the year knob to 0, while she waited for Rainbow Dash to confirm how many months she needed to hit. You can't control me, Twilight, Dash yelled. Heliocentric is a genius. He's only not more famous because Celestia suppresses his show. He's up in my mind the last 3 months. With a satisfied nod, Pinkie spun the knob for months to 3, then added a few days for good measure. You could never be too sure of Rainbow Dash's grasp of dates. He's crazy, Twilight shouted. Certifiable. He's not crazy. He's brilliant. He's the one who convinced me of the real truth. Twilight's right eyelid twitched. Which is? That I'm blessed by Faust. That's why I found his show. Only the chosen ones listen to it. Rainbow Dash, any pony could listen to his show. Most ponies aren't dumb enough. Rainbow Dash chose to ignore this slight. And his supplements have me feeling better than ever. Thanks to his super-duper prostate drug I've been taking, I'm literally invincible. You don't even know what a prostate is, Twilight spat. Sure I do. It's what makes me professionally awesome. With a frustrated howl, Twilight teleported away with a crack, leaving Rainbow alone with Pinkie. One day you'll admit I'm right, Rainbow Dash shouted at no pony in particular. Finally noticing Pinkie, she frowned. What's with the hammer? At the nurse's station down the hall, Nurse Redheart paused as she heard a loud, squeaky bonk sound. Looking up from the charts she was reviewing, she saw Pinkie Pie exiting Rainbow Dash's room, one hoof rummaging in her mane as she did so. Good night, Pinkie said to Redheart, beginning to bounce her way toward the exit. Shrugging, Redheart went back to her charts, grateful that at least the shouting had stopped. Outside the hospital, waiting in the shadows beneath a tree, a large parchment-colored alicorn was waiting, a weary expression fixed below her red mane. She watched as Pinkie Pie bounced across the road toward her. Is she back to normal? She asked Pinkie. As normal as Rainbow Dash can be, Pinkie reported with a salute. Don't worry, I'll take care of Twilight too. She won't remember any of this. The alicorn frowned. Poor girl. She's had her short-term memory wiped so many times that I worry she's going to forget who she is one day. Tapping one hoof against her chin, she continued. Maybe I'll go ahead and endorse that plan to replace her with the alicorn version. Alicorn version? Pinkie cocked her head to one side. What's that? Forget I said anything, the alicorn quickly replied. Just remember our deal. I give you authorial powers to do whatever you want, within reason. And in exchange, you use the Nura hammer to make sure no one else gets too crazy. You won't hear a peep from me. Goodbye, mare I do not know. Nice seeing you again. Pinkie bounced off down the road to her next destination, the Golden Oak Library. Oh, me. You knew you put too many neuroses in that girl when you made her, the alicorn said, still worrying about Twilight. Well, I guess I'd better go see about dealing with this heliocentric pony. Can't leave everything to Pinkie. She spread her wings, stepping out from under the tree before taking flight. Real-world references, she muttered, shaking her head. I told them they shouldn't be listening to Haber. Thank you for listening in. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Until next time, stay tuned.